So you ran a vulnerability scan on your system to identify the vulnerabilities. You go through the scan reports and it's not reporting any vulnerabilities. Perhaps you fixed all of them, which is great, but does that mean your system is now secure and protected? Let's find out with an example. For this example, we're going to use a lab environment. We have an attacker machine and we have a target machine. From the attacker machine, we are going to run a vulnerability scan to identify the vulnerabilities on the target machine. Then we'll go through the scan results and see what options are available for us to exploit the target machine. So in terms of scan result, it may differ based on two things: authenticated scan or unauthenticated scan. If you're running authenticated scan, then we'll get a better results and more information than the unauthenticated scan. Another important thing to consider is the positioning of the scan. Where exactly the scanner is. Is that internal or external? Is that, if it's internal, is that inside the NAT environment or outside the NAT environment of the target? So if your scan results are coming up clean, then it's worth looking into these two areas. In our lab, we are using unauthenticated scan because I've got a very limited information about the target machine. So in a real world situation, our scenario may look like this at a very basic level. Assuming that the attacker has already identified the target, sitting outside your network, your target is behind the firewall, has got public IP address, NATed to the internal IP address. It can be single NAT or double NAT based on your internal network design. And from there is going to scan your public IP address of the target. Right, so here I'm connected to my attacker machine, and the IP address of this machine is 10.10.14.15. Now, to save our time, I've already scanned the target machine to identify the vulnerabilities on that system, and I'm going to quickly share the results with you all. So here you can see I'm using Nessus vulnerability scanner, and I scanned that target machine, which is 10.10.75. As you can clearly see, Nexus did not find any vulnerabilities on that system, although it's reporting some informational stuff, which is quite useful, but as such, there is no vulnerability on that system. So if there is no vulnerability on the system, that means the target is safe and protected. Let's find out. So I'm gonna use my favorite tool, Nmap, here to start the enumeration. So let's see what we can do from here. Right, so Nmap is reporting two ports are open and what service is running behind those ports. So here port 22 is open and it's running OpenSSH with the version 7.2, and then we have port 80 open as well, and the service running on that port is Apache. So it looks like it's a web server. So let's enumerate further. So I couldn't find anything interesting on the website. It seems like we have to do the web directory enumeration. So I'm going to use a tool called Nikto, but you can use any tool like Dirbuster or GoBuster. Great. So here we got the admin page now. Now we have a few options. We can try SQL injection, we can try default login credentials, or we can brute force and crack the password. So I actually cracked the password using brute force. I don't see anything interesting. I can see the version. So the next thing I'm going to do is Google to see if there is any known vulnerabilities or exploits available for this version. So let's do that. So we can see there are some known exploits available, and Metasploit exploit is available as well. So I'm going to use the Metasploit. Now I've set the exploit. I'm going to run the exploit and see if that works. Looks like we got the Metapredator session. Here we go. So we connected to the target machine. So you can see it's a Linux box, nibble. And let me get the shell. So basically we got the initial foothold. From here we have multiple options. We can explore the machine further and see if we can find anything valuable. We can also do the privilege escalation. We can move laterally. So that was a demo of a very basic and simple exploit, where I enumerate the admin page on the website, brute force the password, and exploit the vulnerable version of the website to gain an access to the web server. So the point is, one should not merely rely on the vulnerability scan. It needs to be complemented with a thorough testing plan. A proper pen test can help in identifying these risks. So I'll share my recommendations in the next slide. The bottom line is, keep secure by design in mind while developing a solution or a website. And most importantly, have a testing strategy in place to ensure the security controls are working as expected.